Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Nilla versus Frublord in the semi-final of the second Steel Division 2 Championship. Today they are playing on Bobr, and on our left, in the red team playing on the Soviet side, we have Nilla using the 44th Guards Rifles and the flatline deployment type. And on our right, in the blue team playing on the Axis side, we have Frublord using the 25th Panzergrenadier and the flatline deployment type. So Nilla's 44th, it's a very decent division, strong and aggressive, makes good use of infantry plus medium armor to push very fast and hard in the early game. 25th Panzergrenadier, we often see it banned in competitive play. It's known for having decent infantry, but also, more than that, great recon vehicles. And those recon vehicles can, again, attack very fast and hard. Lots of 20 mils. Also has the SPW-233s, which are good for killing support weapons. So it can really break down a defensive line and help its own infantry push forwards very quickly. It does have artillery to back that up as well, maybe into the late game if it needs it. But generally, we don't see too much of that coming out. It's most likely going to be a big old infantry matchup between the two. 44th, I think they bring out, let me just check. I was going to say Strelka DP, but it looks like they get Gvardia DP. So it's guards on the side of the 44th. But Frublord's going to have, of course, Panzergren. So at the ranged engagement, Panzergrens should come out on top. Regardless, let's have a look at what is going down. On the left side, Nilla's already got down a lot of forces. He's got an OB leading the charge with a 45mm AT gun. It's going to be 2 Ogdemachiki, which are the 2-man flamer squads, PTRS 41, which is an AT rifle squad, 3 of the Gvardia DP, which are standard guard squads, but with the 2 machine guns. Avdo Komroti there was just removed. Looks like he's going to rely on the T-34-76 Komroti as his leader, and T-34-76 1942, which has the 90 front armor. Very good for just bouncing AT guns at the start, especially things like Pak-36s that I'm not sure Frublord will have much of, but he'll probably have like a Pak-38 at least. A couple snipers further down, there's going to be the 2 Tenko Desaniki, which are the 8-man squads with Molotovs and PPSHs. Then there's 4 Gvardia, Avto, OB, and the commander. So the commander heading towards the center of the map might deploy itself in a way that gives the extra veterancy to the top side. I would expect Nilla to try and push for this objective on the hill, because this little valley here does give a bit of cover to the forces of Nilla coming from left to right. And from right to left, I think Frublord will have trouble getting into position there sooner than later because he's using Opel Blitzes. Either way, further down we see the Gvardia DP and the PTRS and the snipers. Actually saying that, talking about transports, if he's using Stubbekers, they'll be slower than Opel Blitzes, so it's going to be very reliant on the Ogdemachiki to pick up that position on the top side because they are in the jeeps. Anyway, on the bottom side, PTRS, 2 Gvardia and a sniper. Over on the side of Frublord, we do see the recon vehicles coming out that I was talking about, the SPW-233s. Do have those AP and HE shells. The AP shells are good for dealing with light vehicles, and the HE shells great for dealing with support weapons. They do have decent rate of fire, 12 rounds per minute, and so can take out those support weapons quite quickly. Going to be an MG42, 2 Panzergrenadiers and a Panzergrenführer, definitely going for the veterancy on the Panzergrenadiers. And if you have those Panzergrenadiers with the 2 MG42s with high veterancy, they can slice through enemy infantry squads very quickly indeed. Further down we see 2 more Panzergrenadiers, 2 Flammenwerfer. We got the Pak-38 there, being towed by the SDKZ-10. We've got the Ersatztruppen, Panzergrenadier, Sturmpioneer, Panzergrenführer and a Commandant. So very similar deployment on both sides for the sort of middle topside road. Then on the bottom we see another MG42, make that 2, followed up by Ersatztruppen and Panzergrenadiers and a Panzergrenführer, and on the very bottom side 2 more MGs and an Ersatztruppen. Now MGs on their own aren't terribly effective. They really do need to be in support of mainline infantry. I'm a little worried about Frublord's deployment on the bottom side. If Nilla decides to push his luck and try and get across this river early on, it might give him quite a bit of ground, because the MG42s will struggle to break down bigger squads like Gvardia. Let's have a look at the deployment. So Frublord trying to get across the river just here. maybe push further up towards this flag at the start. On the side of Nilla, not attempting to push hard across the river on the bottom side, but as predicted on the top side, definitely going for this high ground. And from this high ground, if you can get some decent AT guns into position, you can cut off the reinforcement roads of Frublord, and then he can go for the secure onto these two offensive objectives for him. So the OB and 45 already unloaded. They're both actually in line of the road to prevent Frublord from pushing too far forwards. To Ognamachiki already pushing up. They're going to bump into a Sturmpioneer. It's going to be 2-star veterancy. Oh, nice. They already killed one of the flamers. The second one goes down. Beautiful stuff. Very, very nice, because it's going to make it very difficult now for the Gvardia to get up this hill in support of that if there's nothing there to hold the ground for the time being. Wonderful stuff from Frublord at the start there. A bit of a miss micro, I feel, from Nilla. The Gvardia still going to be going for the push. The two T-34s might help make this work, because there is no AT on the infantry, which means that these tanks are going to be quite effective. Pak 38, if it gets to a decent angle, might be able to get some hits in, but it depends how aggressive Nilla goes with these T-34s. MG42 now engaging the OB there, might be able to kill the OB before it kills the MG42. MG42s are actually surprisingly good against support weapons. As you can see, it's just constantly strafing it with that MG fire. Might be able to kill it off. A couple more bursts from that MG42 will get the job done. Nice engagement coming in down here for Frublord. The MG42 did get the kill onto the OB. That's really nice. Double Flammenwerfer Sturmpioneer supported by Ersatztruppen. Absolutely demolished that Gvardia DP. Second one with 3-star veterancy, probably going to suffer the same fate. The Ersatztruppen, though, are in trouble against Tanko Thessaloniki. This MG42 is going to have to back off, so the OB engages there. TU-2S coming in with two 250-kilogram bombs is going to kill off the Sturmpioneers that were in the way of the Gvardia. The Gvardia did manage to get into cover, and the T-34 is going to be able to provide close-range armoured support. Again, no need to worry about any infantry with AT. Now, I think there is a chance for Frublord to bring in like Panzergrenadiers and Panzerfaust, so that's something you would have to be worried about. But here, Nilla's probably... he's seeing, basically, when his Gvardia get engaged on, that there isn't any Panzerfaust on these Panzergrenadiers. There's very unlikely to be AT nearby unless there's a Panzerstreck. Oh my, wow. Okay, I'm not quite sure what happened here, but all of Frublord's close-range infantry got decimated by the Tanko Thessaloniki. It looked like they were on the move, and Frublord gave a move order, not attack move order, and it ended up getting quite a lot of them killed. It might have also been due to the Tanko Thessaloniki's Molotovs hitting just right and forcing those squads to move, and then, of course, the Tankos cleaning them up with the SMGs because they're better on the move than the smaller squads. These Panzergrenadiers doing a lot of damage to the Gvardia. These Panzergrenadiers also doing damage to the Tanko Thessaloniki that are moving down the side of the tree line there. They need to get deeper into cover. On the top side, we're seeing the ME410 come in. That's trying to now strafe the OB. Probably will get some hits off there, but not do too much damage. Pak 38, can he get the kill? It will be spotted, I believe. Actually, maybe not. That looks like the Pak 38 might have a chance. Turned off the APCR. Oh no, the second shot, he re-aimed. That's not good. I think the T-34 moved forwards just enough to force the Pak 38 to have to turn. And it's going to get itself killed. Yeah, that's the bad thing about using AT up close like that. AT guns in particular. That's why I was so... Well, that's why I was talking so much about infantry AT. It makes a big difference. On this bottom side, the Ersatztruppen, they're coming in to support the MG42. A Gvardia DP has actually crossed on this bottom side. That's a bit of a cheeky position there. Loads of close-range infantry. Look at this. Tanko Thessaloniki, Automachiki. We've got the sniper there trying to kill off the Panzergrenadiers. I think, honestly, Frublord is just going to lose out due to sheer numbers of close-range infantry of Nilla. The Stug, can it kill that in time? Does take out one of the Avtos. The second one's unloaded. Stug 3 did take out one of the T-34-76s. Two more Panzergrenadiers here, so that's 4 Panzergrenadiers. With a bit of veterancy from like a leader, that would be a really, really good place. Also, this 81mm mortar could make all the difference in these infantry engagements. This, however, is completely lost. I wouldn't like to see Frublord continue to push in here against Avtos and Tankos. It seems a bit of a bad idea. These two Ognemachiki though, they're pushing across. One of them has been killed before it unloaded. The other one is going to unload and probably unseat those Erzats, but will die just as quickly to the Panzergrens. The two Erzats on the bottom side were actually killed by the Gvardia DP's machine guns before they unloaded. So those two Erzats died. MD42 tried to continue that engagement. MD42 in the center, going to help pin down the Gvardia DP. These MD42s really doing well. ME410 continuing its strafing runs onto the OB. Doesn't manage to get 2 damage down. Panzergrens going to have some Avtos landing next to them any second. And at that range, the Avtos certainly have an advantage. Panzergrens, though, in light cover, can do very well. So this top side, if the Panzergrenadiers remain concentrated and don't go in one by one, Frublord might have a good chance to push that back. 2 more Erzatstruppen coming in on the bottom side. This is something that you don't like to see in competitive play, is when a player has to replace something that got transport sniped, because it's basically just another 30 points that he could have basically placed elsewhere if he hadn't have lost them in the first place. Surprisingly, these Avtos, they didn't actually get in the building, so they got killed off by the Panzergrens quite quickly indeed. Second mortar joins the first on the top side. It's going to look to help out these Panzergren engagements. Stug 3 still sitting in a reasonably good position. Honestly, it's a little bit scary for the Stug, because a T-34 could come down from any angle and try and go for a side shot. This Panzergren Führer gets found, gets killed off. Should have been moved back sooner. Commandant in a very precarious position, quite far forwards there. More Erzatstruppen coming to the centre. I think what Frublord is going to do here is try and bounce back against Nilla, because Nilla's tried to make a little bit of an offensive push. He moved across with the Flammenwerfers, of course, and then tried to attack move with some of his Gvardia. And I think Frublord smells a bit of a salient here due to this lump in the front line, and is going to try and get some Erzatstruppen across there, which is looking to be a decent move. This 81mm mortar, I don't know what happened to the other one, but one of them's been killed. It looks like that was like some sort of airstrike. 2 Flak 38 20mm coming in with the SDKF Z11 flags. So yeah, it looks like maybe an airstrike came in. Frublord's going to try and prevent that in the future with 4 20mm. Sturm Pioneers coming in to contest the Avtos. Going to be rough for the Sturm Pioneers to get close. They're going to have to use their smoke if they want to make some ground. But currently things 12 to 12. Nothing really going in anyone's favour, as we do see a bunch more transports going down. There's 2 more Erzatstruppen dead across the bridge there due to the PTRS finding the transport snipes. These Panzergrens all engaging. These Sturm Pioneers having to smoke themselves off. Oh no, the SDK of Z11 flak. Looks like that might get sniped by the T-34s if he's not careful. TU-2S does come over with the 2 250kg bombs. That's going to be able to pin down the Panzergrens at least. Might get shot down by the 20mm. Would be good for Frublord if it does. But nope, it's going to get away. And so, bombing strike successful, all of the Panzergrens pushed back, and the AA brought in for nothing. Sturm Pioneers also killed off by the Gvardia there, and this Panzergren line is completely demolished on the top side. Panzergrens further down also going to be killed off. Looks like off-maps coming in here on top of Frublord's units, and so far, well, Nilla's forces are really starting to get the better of Frublord across the board. The PTR-S does go down to the Erzatstruppen, so Frublord's made a little bit of a bridgehead. 13 to 11 for Frublord, but this control on the top side for Nilla is really important. If he can get a couple of AT guns up here now, he can really start to do a lot of damage, and he does have one coming. He's also got the 37 moved forwards, and that's going to be helping engage the Panzergrenadiers from range. So he's brought that in to prevent enemy airstrikes. But yeah, Frublord is starting to make some ground on the bottom side, so probably still feeling confident. And if he can make some ground further down, he can probably take a second flag here as well, because the PTRS isn't actually putting any sort of particular pressure on this flag. You can see that by the front line going over the top. Might get caught out though if he decides to bring in some infantry and go across that bridge. The PTRS will ambush those. Nice off-map coming down. Needs to take out this Panzergrenadier, get rid of the veterancy for the Ersatztruppen, and also take away the extra veterancy for the Panzergrens. This off-map did certainly do a lot of damage, just allowed the VulcanHDGaming and Avtos to move up. Ersatztruppen really aren't going to stand in their way. Probably wants to bring those back to some heavy cover. Panzergrenadier there getting smacked by the 37. 45 trying to engage Stug. Stug should be fine against 45 at range. Looks like both of the T-34s tried to push forwards but got killed off in the process. So Nilla's hold on this top side has weakened greatly with the loss of those T-34s. But now needs some stuff of his own to push back up. So Stosstrup MP44 is coming in to engage Avtos and Tankos, but the Stug 3 did actually die. It looks like the 45mm did get the job done there, and that's a big blow actually to Frublord. 17 points down the drain to a 35-point AT gun. It's not something I like to see, but reasonable control still for Frublord after the off-map on the bottom side. Panzergrenadier are still alive, which is providing the extra veterancy for the Panzergrens and Ersatztruppen nearby. And that veterancy is very important for them to maintain pressure against the Gvardier that is still coming in. The T-34-76 1942s, though, they will cause issues because, once again, no infantry AT. Pak-38 does have a nice angle here. If it can get a couple of side shots, it will do a lot of damage. APCR has been turned off. Does get a shot onto one of the T-34s. I don't know why it lost aim again. I think it's Frublord giving that like an attack order, and it's kind of like resetting the aim or something. But needs to flick on the APCR at this range so that he can guarantee the kills into the 90mm of frontal armor. MG42 there. Oh, looks like it might clean up the Gvardier on this bottom side. That's going to allow the Ersatztruppen to push forwards and maybe get another flag on the bottom. So yeah, Frublord has decent frontline coverage on this bottom side, but it's not really held by anything of substance, as Gvardiers are now coming in for Nilla and pushing back. Those are going straight into the smoke. Are they going to go straight across the bridge? Yep, looks like it. He's going for a bridge push. It's going to cause his own units to get cut off, but that might only be brief if this T-34 manages to kill the Pak-38, because that can then move forwards and reconnect the front line. Another Gvardier coming in onto the bottom is going to resecure that flag. Now things going in favour of Nilla in terms of flags. Panzergrenadier are eventually going to get taken out. It doesn't look like the Stosstrup with MP44s really made too much ground. I'm not a fan of bringing in the Stosstrup with MP44s after the start of the game. I think the reason that you have Stosstrup MP44s is to use them from the start, because the Molotovs really do complement Panzergrenadiers at close range. And also, they come in haulches, which allows them to get to the front line fast. That's the whole purpose for bringing them. So bringing them in later on doesn't really allow them to be as effective. They can still do work at like the 300-meter range if they can get into heavy cover and they are attacked. But that sort of situation is very niche and therefore doesn't happen too often. And the Gvardier that did push through, yeah, they got completely surrounded, and it looks like they are going to be killed off. One is still relatively healthy, as more Gvardier now come on to the field from Nilla. Nilla really just pushing the issue on this flag, counter-attacking Frublord's initial push. And while Frublord's push through here has caused him to now be quite weak, and the abundance of infantry coming in from Nilla will be a problem. Panzergrenadier is trying to come in on the top side, but I think so far in the game, what's happened is Bobr didn't find much value at all out of his infantry. Whilst Nilla's Gvardier DP and also the VulcanHDGaming and Avtos at close range just demolished Frublord's setup. So yeah, that was really rough. Now Nilla was the first one to be transport sniped and did lose a couple units because of that, but overall it seems as though he's managed to pull it back. I mean, at the end of the day, he only lost flamethrowers to the transport snipes, I think. Whereas Frublord's been losing the more meaty Ersatztruppen and maybe Panzergrenadiers. I don't know if he's lost any Panzergrenadiers, to be fair. Ersatztruppen, again, Gvardier coming in. Gvardier will beat Ersatztruppen. So, good counter to those. More MG42s coming in. And now we're seeing the Tu-2Ss. With 250 kilogram bombs. And those are going for the MG42. And the Panzergrenadiers. Kills both squads. Nicely done. Gvardier don't even have to fight them. T-34 is looking for the snipe onto the MG42. MG42 would have been in a nice position in that building up there, but with multiple Gavadia coming up from all directions, plus T-34s crossing the river, he's really going to need something with a bit of substance. This ME410's really got to hit the mark. This is an expensive investment. If this doesn't get like a double kill, at least, he's in trouble. And it lost line of sight onto the second T-34, so it doesn't get that one. This is a 140-point plane. He killed a 55-point tank. And that's now probably going to get forced back by the AA. Although ME410 coming in with the bombing strike, that's two 250-kilogram bombs. Looking for the kill onto the Gavadia DP there. Should be able to kill them. Might also kill off the tank with the Saniki. Yep. Yeah, Panzergrenadiers actually finish those off. As that's open, holding quite nicely. ME410 coming in for the run. What's that going for? Nope, doesn't find it. Frublord's evacing that. And yeah, so 140 points now in the sky. That leaves him, what, like 100 points short? Or like less than on the bottom side of this engagement, which is really, really rough. ME410 trying to get on the back of the Yak. Is going to be able to do so. Does shoot it down. Nice job there with the ME410 fighter. Is going to be able to continue to strafe and help out with these infantry engagements, but just look at the sheer number of units on the side of Nilla compared to Frublord, and where there is no difference in deployment type, it's only going to get worse and worse at this point for Frublord, because that you can't rely on like a balanced deployment type in the late game to help you make up for the difference in units, for example. And the sheer amount of Gavadia and T-34s that just keep coming onto the field, the only way that you can really shut that down is something like off-map and maybe something like, I don't know, Nebelwerfer 42 or something, but the 25th Panzergrenadier doesn't really get much of that. Doesn't get much of either of those. Sostric with MP44s, still pushing in. It looks like maybe he's brought them in Phase B, because he's had a lot of these. That's going to get a couple of them killed, though. The Avto's easy killing another one as they go past. More infantry on this top side now, pushing through. Gavadia is just everywhere. Just utter ridiculousness. All of this infantry just constantly pushing forwards. The SPW-233s might be quite nice, actually. But I don't think you can really amass enough of them anymore to cut down these Gavadia in time. There's just so much coming in. There's 4 more on the way with another T-34, and like every tick, Nilla's just going to be bringing in more Gavadia, more T-34s, more Gavadia, more T-34s. And this is actually the reason I think Turin's actually a nice pick. I mean, obviously we didn't see Turin this time around, we saw 44th, but Turin gets Strelky DP instead of Gavadia DP, and Strelky DP, in my opinion, are better than Gavadia DP. So imagine the same sort of strategy, but with Strelky instead of Gavadia. That's something to think about. Anyway, regardless, Nilla, 1,705 kills to 1,425 losses. The KD is not as big of a difference as I would have expected it to be, but the difference is probably 300 points of Strelky, honestly, if you think about it. And that's a lot of Strelky. 20 points a pop. That's like 15 Strelky on the map difference, which is why it looks like there's so much more on the map. Yeah, they're really, really built up, and Nilla just pushed it home with the sheer amount of forces he could constantly bring out with that division. The 44th, the infantry with the medium armor support, exactly what I mentioned at the start of the game, did really, really well in breaking down Frublord's close range infantry, but also the Ersatztruppen and Panzergrenadiers, but more importantly. The off-map was okay. It did certainly allow him to break down some of Frublord's more concentrated areas and also take back some more flags. Frublord had a great start. I think he just kind of lost control, especially on that top side. When his Panzergrenadiers got pushed off the edge of the hill and the 2 Stern Pioneers died all at once, that completely took away a huge chunk of points from Frublord and meant that he had to like recover that in order to push back on the top side again if he wanted to. He was making a lot of ground obviously on the bottom side in the meantime, and maybe I guess could have focused completely there after that point with just having a few units on the top side to prevent things from coming off the hill. But Yeah, I don't know. After that, it was going to be very difficult to come back, and investing like a lot of points into like an ME410 AT plane, for example, and then it not getting many kills is really rough because you kind of wasted the points. Yeah, I don't know. Panzergrenadiers were trading quite well in the early game, especially when they had veterancy, but later on, they just got overwhelmed. The T-34s and stuff supporting the abundance of Gvardia was pretty ridiculous. So yeah, Nilla wins the game. The 44th Guards Rifles. Nicely done. We'll be moving on to the final, to playoff against Pixie, who of course won the other semi-final. That's going to be a best of 3 game between Nilla and Pixie, so that's certainly something to look forward to. But in the meantime, that's all. Commiserations to Frublord. Congratulations to Nilla. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.